So Robert Saleh this morning said he was blindsided, fired by the Jets. And we warned you, if you go to London, where Woody Johnson was the former ambassador to UK, he's got all his bougie billionaire buddies in the stadium. Ex-Jet Sam Darnold beats you. Something's going to happen, and it did this morning. So in the moment, for all you alphas out there, it feels good. Yeah, it's like going to the batting cage when you're in a bad mood. Take a few whacks. Somebody's got to pay for this. Congrats. You just fired the most competent coach on your staff. Nat Hackett is probably the worst OC in the league. He's still there because Aaron makes sure he's there. So this will be the fifth head coach, interim coach in 11 years. Does it sound like a well-run business? If you owned a company, you're on your fifth CEO in 11 years, would you be a well-run company? For the record, if they beat the Bills on Monday Night Football, that terrible Robert Saleh coach, they would have been in first place. with way past his prime Aaron Rodgers. So ask yourself, what is easily the best part of the Jets? The defense. The part he coaches. Robert Saleh didn't whiff on a quarterback and a left tackle in the first round, forcing the organization to hand all the power to Aaron Rodgers. Robert Saleh didn't mishandle the Hassan Reddick mess. Again, I know it feels good. Jets, it felt good to beat the Patriots. It feels good to fire the coach. It always feels good for poorly run businesses to fire people, and that will solve it. And go ahead, Colin. He didn't get along with Aaron Rodgers. Well, we told you that a couple of weeks ago, and you pushed back on your Go Green Reddit boards when we told you they're not getting along. It's not rosy. So now suddenly you're an expert on the relationship between Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think they get along well. I don't think Robert Saleh, a little bit too much ego. He just couldn't keep things to himself. Remember when he said this is an inexcused absence at the podium during minicamp? Robert, keep it to yourself. Remember when he said Aaron Rodgers will not play in the preseason? Aaron was mystified by that. Keep it to yourself. When he banged on Aaron Rodgers, the best cadence quarterback in the NFL, probably my entire life, Aaron fired back, Coach, vanity. Keep it to yourself. We all know about offense, defense, special teams, the three phases of football. Here's the fourth. When you have an old, rich, prickly quarterback, monitor what you say at the podium. He wasn't very good at the podium. Belichick gets made fun of for saying on to Cincinnati, but Belichick and Brady never went to dinner in 20 years. But at the podium, they co-parented. They never embarrassed each other. They always were on the same message. Saleh and Aaron weren't. Well, Colin, Aaron's difficult to get along with. Yeah, I know. Ask Mike McCarthy, but that's the deal. You brought him in to save the franchise. Don't humiliate him. Don't embarrass him. Yes, he can be sensitive. So the interim coach is Jeff Ulbrich, who was the loud guy on Hard Knocks, former player. Kyle Shanahan tried to hire him at one point, kind of an alpha guy. He could win. I mean, interim coaches like substitute teachers, everybody loves them. He could win. I wouldn't doubt it. But in the end, you're on your fifth coach, head coach or interim coach in 11 years. This is what you are as a franchise. If your company had the fifth CEO, would you think, oh, it is humming here? And I understand firing coaches. Andy Reid got fired in Philadelphia. Sometimes, as Pat Riley says, you need a new voice. This is a team that is good at one thing, the one thing Saleh coaches, and they could be in first place by Monday night.
Yeah, so that's what I really want to talk about. I don't have strong feelings one way or the other in terms of if you should fire Robert Saleh. I see the arguments on both sides, and it's just so interesting because when you move on from a head coach, especially midseason like this, you have to ask yourself, is this decision going to make my team better, right? Is the team going to get better when you do this? And when the defense is already doing well, right, as Colin has pointed out, and the defense has been good, as with Robert Saleh, firing him is not going to solve any of the problems because the fundamental issues are on offense. And it's been very obvious that Robert Saleh had nothing to do with the offense. And he wasn't even allowed to have anything to do with the offense, right? He's not the one that was like, go out and get me Aaron Rodgers. He's not the one that said, get me Lazard. Go out and get me, Nathaniel Hackett. He had nothing to do with that. Zero, right? That was owner and the GM and whoever, right? So it was really like, Robert Saleh, you're the head coach and you take care of the defense. Aaron and everything else is going to be all offense. And that's what's been struggling. The defense has been fine. The Minnesota Vikings are a high-powered offense, and the Jets played them pretty decent. They put the defense put the Jets in a position to win that game. Aaron Rodgers did not. I mean, that's just the reality. So if you're going to fire this coach, it's just, well, then how does this team get better? How are they going to improve? Now, if you want to say, well, hey, actually, Robert Saleh wasn't really the brains of the defense, right? It's actually, Jeff Ulbrich, which maybe that's true, maybe that's not. Again, I don't know. I'm under the understanding that it's not. That Robert Saleh is the one who really runs that defense, right? It's his identity, his vision, his game plans, his plan of attack. That he's the expert. That's his side of the ball. That's how he handles it. And so, like, this isn't a situation where it's like Sirianni, right? Where it's like he's technically offense, but like really doesn't do anything offensively. So again, and it's like he's never had a quarterback. So I'm not saying you should keep Robert Saleh necessarily either. Because you're like, look at his record. But again, it's like, who has been his quarterback? Now, if you fired Robert Saleh and now got an offensive head coach, that can make a little bit more sense to me. Because you're like, oh, we already got a DC who can do a pretty great job at defense and can continue what Robert Saleh did. But we got to get a real offensive mind in this room, man. Right? We got to get a real offensive head coach, and it's going to elevate this offense, and it's going to make, do wonders. Right? Then I could understand. But again, he's never had a quarterback. The Jets haven't had a legitimate quarterback in years. Right? Their OC's been bizarre. Aaron Rodgers is, a little all over the place right now. So I don't understand what firing Robert Saleh fundamentally does. And apparently the way they did it, and again, I don't know how true this is, but apparently like he just like walked in and they're like, yeah, you're fired. And he wasn't allowed to talk to the players. They escorted him out. Like, pretty bizarre stuff. Now, I don't 100% feel too bad because these guys get paid so much money, and that's just part of it, right? Part of it is like, hey, you're going to get paid all this money, and things are going to get weird. Things are going to get weird at times, but that's just part of it, man. That's why you get paid the money that you get paid, right? That just comes with the job. And it's like you can either take the big paycheck and have some of these weird stuff that can happen to you or not. If you want to be treated better or have more consistently, like, go get a job, go become a manager at, I don't even know, a car insurance place, a Home Depot, whatever. So it's just like, that's why I don't feel too bad, especially because these guys will still continue to get paid even after they get fired, which is a nice little luxury to have. But the situation itself is bizarre because when I think of certain coaches that could be fired, and again, I brought up Nick Sirianni as a perfect example. Nick Sirianni gets fired, you could say that the Eagles should get better, right? If they fired and either elevated a interim head coach or hired Bill Belichick, like you could say the defense will get better, the offense should get better, right? Like you could say those things. I'm not sure if you fire Robert Saleh and say, oh, Aaron didn't get along with him, right? But Aaron Rodgers has not got along with any head coach. He didn't get along with Mike McCarthy. He didn't get along with Matt LaFleur, and now he doesn't get along with Robert Saleh. And again, the lack of offense is why they lost their games, why they lose their games. What did Robert Saleh have to do with the Denver Broncos game? And losing, what was the score, 10-9 or whatever the final score was? What does that have to do with Robert Saleh? Right? Like, so it's just doesn't really, I just don't see how this makes a team better. And if you're going to make this decision, the team has to get better. And so I'm just, I don't know, honestly. So it's just, I don't know where they go from here, right? And like, if you're Devontae Adams now, why would you want to come to the New York Jets? Like, why would you want to go to the Jets who are losing, who are kind of, firing their head coach, and there's no sense of stability? You're not sure, does Aaron Rodgers still have it? Feels like he is just a sack away from being out for the season. Like, if you're Devontae, you want to come to that team? I don't know about that. I mean, I would be shocked. I would be. And I'm not rooting against the Jets here. It just feels like an unstable organization right now with an unstable quarterback. And I don't know what you do about that. And I don't know how you now get players to want to come to you. So yeah, the Jets are definitely in a messy situation, and I'm really curious to see how this continues to unfold. If they still can get Devontae, if this firing does inspire the locker room and they all rally behind and now they play better offensively or defensively, like I definitely am curious to see. But yeah, this seems like this was just mismanaged from the jump, quite frankly. And now it's like they got to do something, and so they're like, we'll fire Robert Saleh. And, on one side, I don't know. It's like on one side, it's like I like teams that are proactive. It's my issue with like team like the Philadelphia Eagles or even the Dallas Cowboys for that matter. Because I'd rather you be more proactive rather than just doing the same thing again and again and again. But if you're going to be proactive, it's got to be for like an actual reason, right? It's like it's like being mad at your girlfriend, but you yell at your mom instead. It's like, that doesn't make sense. And that's in a lot of ways what this feels like. But these are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Robert Saleh being fired? Do you think this was a good move? Do you think the New York Jets are going to be able to turn this around? Or do you think that this ship has sunk? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.